Welcome back to Factorio in 0.17, and today we're going to be starting off by just improving things a little bit. I've been looking at basically a copper shortage, and we need to solve that. You can see right here it is being split into two, and this is clearly not enough to feed our circuit array. It's just being eaten alive by our circuit network. Well, not network, circuit factories? Factories. Okay, so we need to improve that, and to do that we need to get pretty much either a couple of lines to extend the bus, that's one option, or we can just go straight to the next set of belt up, so we can go to fast transport belt. Now of course I can make that manually and patch together some stuff, but in our mall down here we probably want to have that available permanently. Now the recipe for red fast transport belt is actually pretty simple. We just take the yellow transport belt, add some more gears to it, and job done. And we have right here both a factory that makes yellow belt, specifically for this box in this particular case. However, given that this box is full, we can also pass that along, and we just need perhaps a little bit more in terms of gears. And of course we have gears already being made at our fast rate knots up here, so we can just do something like this, and we have both gears and belt available. So from that we can just get together a new assembly machine. There, that will do, and let's just feed it from here, shall we? Something like that. And then we can let's just see, can I switch to that? Yeah, I can. We're just going to go for a long-headed inserter, grabbing from one, feeding to the other, and select this as a recipe. We want that, and then we should be able to just go back and feed everything else in that, and we'll then make red belt. That will then feed into another passive provider chest. We haven't got the active provider system yet. We're researching nuclear power, so for the time being we'll just have that being fed into a chest like that, and then we'll probably want to nominate the system to provide us with, you know, a certain number of belt as we actually start. Now to get started we won't have a great deal of that to be built up, so I will just go and make some actually manually. Do I have enough iron in my inventory? I need some more iron, or we can just get some more from here. We just grab all these gears, makes it much easier to actually craft, and then I'll upgrade all my, well, all the yellow belt I can out of my inventory, actually to upgrade up here. So what I've done, and the system is not finished taking up all of our old furnaces yet, but I've, instead of splitting two belts up here, I've deployed another set of copper miners. They're being brought in, so we've got two lines of input, and they're going two lines down either side of these furnaces. And we can build these furnaces back even further, a little bit up here, and maybe a little bit further down as well. We can bypass a lot of that to actually get much longer range, but you'll see this output is fully compressed and some of it is already red. You can probably just about see the red belt underneath. And by the way, I did see something that's worth noting. They've upgraded the textures on the ore. It's all now very high resolution, really quite nice. I do like that a lot. Anyway, we've got bots in my inventory trying to occasionally get charged, but we're going to want to upgrade the rest of this. So let me just make sure that's the right way around, and we'll just upgrade it all the way from the top. Not that we need to up here, but it actually helps further down if I just know that everything has been upgraded. So we'll drag that down to here, and then across it goes. And at this point it becomes yellow, so we'll bring that down, and it's going to come up to the main bus, and it needs to go to at least to this point. We're also going to want a red splitter, which mainly means I need a little bit more iron. Let's grab some of that. Because you can't use a yellow splitter with red belt as an input, it just won't be fast enough. So we're just going to need to upgrade that to a red version, like that. And then just a little bit more of the red belt itself once it's made. And then that should, assuming I've got enough input, you'll see this get far more compressed, this belt along here. So let's just go and grab, see if we've actually got... Now, we've got bots trying to deliver some of that belt to us right now. Well, there's only 18, I suppose. Come on, bots. Yeah. Okay, so we've got 19. They'll continue to try and deliver until they actually, you know, power back in stock. So let's just get all that done. And that's all now upgraded. And so you'll now see the difference. We've got yellow belt beyond that point, but we can pretty much have fully compressed yellow belt following all of this. Now, if I'm not supplying enough out here, you'll see this isn't fully compressed red belt. And yeah, so, you know, we may not be as successful as I expected. That just needs more furnaces. We don't need anything else to improve that. So yeah, we've got a lot more copper coming in. And I'm just going to delay a little bit off camera. I'm just going to see how that affects well, in fact, we can probably see here right now. We need to see how much of this copper is actually going past. Now, we could work it out just by the amount of inputs and how many seconds and how many things on the belt. But for the most part, it's just easier just to see, particularly with the bottleneck mod. You can just take a look at the green lights, and you want everything really to be green wherever possible. So yeah, we are getting some of the input across this last set of stuff, and we'll see. Now, the outputs, of course, are only half a belt of output, but we haven't fully compressed even half a belt from this, so it's not too much of an issue. I think what I should do is maybe upgrade this line on the left here also to red belt, and then we'll prioritize left. Well, actually, it'd probably be right. On the output priority is right. Yep. So it will feed this left-hand belt whenever it can, and anything excess, it will then send this way. So if that still all gets used up, then we'll have to upgrade this to red belt. But I'll do that off camera, depending on how it actually how it does. There we go, we're fully upgraded. I moved across to red belt across to our circuit factories, circuit assembly machines, and that is not running at full speed because otherwise we wouldn't see anything on this yellow belt whatsoever. But it is making sure that all of the input is available at any particular machine here, and you see the outputs are coming back across. They're nearly fully, well, they're fully compressed on the top, not quite fully compressed on the bottom because there isn't enough iron. So we still are input constrained here, but between the episodes, I can probably just do exactly the same thing once I've got, you know, a decent amount of, I've already got a decent amount of fast transport belt. And once I've got even more fast transport belt, then, or we've got a backlog, we'll be able to just do that to upgrade our iron furnaces and set up separate miners. Now, back over here for a second, I just need to put down some lights just so you can see. Where do I want to put these? I sort of want to put them right about here. Every two, that should do the job. And you can see how long this array is. It's fairly significant, but it does compress a full belt. Flammables is done, and that will lead to rocket fuel, so let's just research that. And you're wondering why I'm actually doing that. It's not because I want to build a rocket at this particular stage, because we're not going straight for a rocket or anything, but I do actually want to get to nuclear power. Over here on the right hand side, you'll see that I've already researched nuclear power itself, and that needs, well, means we can basically build a reactor. However, that needs an awful lot of advanced circuits. Those are the red circuits that I don't have a lot of because everything was starved of green circuits. So let's go and see if that's actually affected the red circuit production at all. Here comes our green circuits, and they're being pulled off and produced here. And I think, yeah, we're getting copper coil coming through now because copper is also up because of the previous mining work I've done. And that's coming across here, but it's not being used again by all of this stuff. So are we constrained or are we running at full speed? It looks like we're running at full speed. So instead, what we're going to do here is just improve this just by adding another set, basically producing copper coils. So we're just going to copy and paste that over, and then we'll get everything going. So let's just get some inputs and some outputs. There we go. And we'll have both of them joining down here. Something like that will do. Yes-ish, maybe. Let's see how well this does in practice. Okay. And will that fully compress the belt? Are they fast enough to do it? Because if so, I should probably... is that getting output constrained? Yeah, that's obviously why I went to these. I suppose you can save a little bit of... spend there just by going to yellow as well as blue, and maybe the same here. I don't think we're input constrained, so we can probably take those off. And are you now going to run at full speed? Looks like they will. And is the output fully compressed? Not quite. Yeah, that's a shame. You can go to third on each one of these, but we'll see how well that affects things. do we now get ingredients passing all the way down here? As long as we get all the way down, I don't much mind if it's fully compressed or not. I just need to make sure that these aren't input constrained, because they're all then supplying red circuits back up to our blue science array, which are then producing blue science, which we're using at a rate of knots to produce rocket fuel. Now I'm going to need to wait off camera a little while for that to build up a little bit, and let's see what should happen. Is if I've got things right, this red circuit should start piling back on this belt, and that's what it did, if you remember, quite early on in one of the previous episodes. So I'll wait to see how that's actually doing. I don't think it's quite making it. Nearly. It's nearly getting to the end. So yeah, let's see. And they're now piling up as I was hoping for, which is good because I'm going to keep on grabbing them as I actually need them, which will be very, very useful for the nuclear power setup. Now, in addition, if I just grab some of this, further down you'll see that I'm not just sending all red circuits this way. If you remember the second line down here, I'm sending them downwards, not upwards, and we're getting the same thing over here. We're getting about half the output going down. That's going through our blue circuit factory, which is sending stuff off to make science, and that's piling back nicely as well now. And then further down here, you'll see it passes through, makes some furnaces, some modules, and then there goes down here, and eventually enters the sort of bot manufacturing area. In this case, making a roboport. And do these need it as well? I don't think they do. They need green. Oh no, this one needs red. Yeah, so close enough. And in fact, how are you getting red? Advanced circuits? How are you getting red? I didn't think red was going to come in along this line. No, it's not. Are you even able to produce anything? It could come to there, but there's no actual things grabbing your input. That's odd. I wonder why I did that. Huh. Not hard to solve, mind you, but just a little odd. Let's just remove this light then. So let me just remove you and just move you to there. And then we can just go to long head inserters, and that should snag a red circuit anytime it goes past. Otherwise, we're fine. So I need to get quite a few of these advanced circuits. Talking about nuclear power, which is where I was going with that whole thought train. So if you haven't set up nuclear power before, it's sort of like steam engines. Nuclear reactors aren't all that much different. They still produce heat. And you still use steam to basically turn a turbine and turn that into power. Steam engines just do it by heating up and burning coal. Or, you know, anything flammable really, but coal generally used in modern power plants. Anyway, we can instead look at creating a few things. So heat pipes transmit the heat from the reactor out to heat exchangers, which you feed with water, just like the steam version. And then they pass into turbines, which isn't like the steam version as such, but it's more like the steam engine in the steam version. So we've got the steam engine, steam turbine, same thing. These are the things that actually produce the power. So we're going to need a few things for it. One is the reactor itself, and that needs an awful lot of stuff that we don't have yet. I'm going to have like another 350 advanced circuits, and I'm going to need lots more steel plate and copper plate and everything like that. Before I get to all that, though, we are going to need a supply of nuclear ore, essentially, uranium ore. One of the things you can research is this, the Covarex enrichment process, and this lets you turn... it lets you create a different kind of uranium, and sort of it helps you reprocess things. I'm not going to need that to start with because it's 1,500 of each of these. So yeah, that does take a little while, and we should start it at some point, but I'm just letting things pile back a little bit in the meantime. So we're going to want to grab this uranium, and we'll just do that with a regular sort of setup with some miners. So nothing special here. I'm just going to go for a typical layout. So 2, and then it's very hard to see at night with this. So just bear with me a second. And let's just get that going like that. There they go. And do they also need something else for uranium? I've got a sense that they need, they need sulfuric acid to be able to mine the uranium. So we've got to get the sulfuric acid up here somehow, and I'm not sure if we're actually producing enough. However, we have the belt here to start producing the uranium ore. Okay, and we can box it or wherever for the moment. It doesn't much matter. We'll just get ourselves powered up just like we would a normal mining sort of setup. There we go. They are all set up, but they won't actually do anything just yet. Right, we're producing the sulfuric acid. Here it is, not far away. I sort of chose this position, I think, previously, just because it was near these two patches, and you would need it anyway, but maybe I'm misremembering. Who knows? We actually need some pipe to grounds, and then we'll pull the sulfuric acid line from here, which is, you know, it's far more than we actually need to produce the amount of blue circuits that we have, and we will just output that straight over here to these. And we have to decide how to get this between these. So I think we can do this fairly easily. Yeah, that they've got to pass through a mount here, and then we need to feed it into each of the ends. So we can just do something like that, and that should work quite well. We just have to also make some more pipe. I guess I could actually ask the system to bring me pipe, because we are making it. Let's just tell it to bring me 200, something like that will do. And let's get rid of the pipe to grounds for now, and we'll just get some of the regular pipe. So there it goes. That will get everything connected. And then for the pipe to grounds, we'll just bring it down this, bring it down this way. And we just need to get to there. So that's not very far at all. I may not have quite enough, but let's just make some more. And let's go across. And that should be in the same line here. Just bring it down. That's everything. We just need some straight pipe. Okay, that's sulfuric acid, which hopefully should mean these things, once they're connected up with pipe, and you can just run it along there and it will connect everything up in the middles. There we go. So they should be now extracting uranium ore onto the belt, which they are. And now we just need to start thinking about laying out the reactor itself. Now, if you have a look up here on my map, in fact, I can press go into the map, you'll see my steam engines are up here. Previously, I've done the same kind of thing, a same kind of layout for nuclear, in that you can sort of extend the heat pipes out along a horizontal axis, and then above and below them you can have the heat exchangers, and then above those you can have the turbines. So I think, if I remember rightly, the heat exchangers can go to 2 of the turbines. I want to say maybe. It's been a while, but I need to actually check and probably build it. So why don't we have a look, see if we can actually build any of this stuff. It's probably all going to need red circuits, and it's going to be horrible. So heat exchangers aren't too terrible. It needs quite a bit of copper plate for each of them. The nuclear reactor we can't build just yet. The heat pipes we certainly can, and then that leaves the turbines. Yeah, so the turbines are, again, not too much trouble, but they need some iron gear wheels. So I think what I'll do is go and get a stock of those, start building a few of them, and then we'll sort of build out a layout, and maybe you can improve it. If so, watch the next section and put the comments down below. And while we've got all the ingredients, well, at least I had most of the ingredients, we need to set one other thing up. And now I don't remember whether I've already done this or not. I think I may have handcrafted some concrete, which is what's here. But I thought I'd set up an array to make concrete automatically for us. That's useful for floor surfacing, certainly. But just in case I hadn't already built an array, I've got one here that just dumps this into a box. So we can just grab all that out, because you need 500 concrete, I've got 400 now, to make the nuclear reactor itself. I have made 7 steam turbines. I should probably make an 8th, shouldn't I? And that means I need a little bit more copper, but it's mainly just the concrete I need first. And this is quite fast at producing it. I've got some independent miners here. Mostly it's just getting the water up from our oil section down there and getting this all produced. So that is hopefully done. Yeah, 16 more, which I should already have on this belt. Yep, that's everything there. And then we'll just grab 3 more pieces of copper, and we should be able to make the reactor itself. Well, maybe 14 more pieces of copper. There we go, 1 nuclear reactor. Okay, now you can make these in multiples. You don't have to make just a single reactor, but I thought we'd start out with doing something like that. And here we have obviously our mining array. So we should probably start thinking about how we lay this out. So if we just get some heat pipe out for now, and let's just put that down. Let's say here. Yeah, over this direction. So we've got a heat pipe, and for either side of that, we're going to want to be able to supply our heat exchangers, obviously with heat. And that is also going to need water. So we'll have to make a little bit more heat pipe. And I think probably want to have sections here just like before. So we'll have stuff like this, mainly because not that they need to have those sections so much in this particular case, but we need to feed in water somehow. And also when we get far along, if we're still producing that amount, I want to be able to resupply with more water. That's definitely needed on the steam engines. So having these extra sections of pipe actually make it quite nice to set out basically. So where are my turbines? So you can see these here are quite big, but they do look a great deal like our steam engines. So if we lay them out in the same way, I think they'll work. And it doesn't really much matter how you lay them out otherwise. So if we just have those, that sort of makes a nice sort of setup, I think. If we just get some more heat pipe, I guess I'm going to need some more copper and steel to make more of that. I'm definitely going to need more of it to lay it out towards the reactor itself. Our reactor is now built, so if I just grab some more copper from the red section here, we should be able to get a huge amount of it quite quickly. And we'll do the same thing with all of the steel. Let's just grab and starve all of this. Don't worry, it'll be fine. And then we'll just get our steel from here. And we should be able to make plenty of heat pipe. There it goes. Let's get 15 of that. And then we'll go and lay it out. Okay, so we should have those available. And let's just run the heat pipe this way. And we'll also run it this way as well. I'm not sure if the heat pipe has actually any sort of capacity before it should melt. I mean, it really should melt once if it's copper, once it gets the copper's melting temperature. But for now, I'm not going to worry about it. We'll soon see if that's actually a problem later. We're just going to set this up so that I can just copy and paste this in future. So if I copy and paste from this this to the right, we'll pick up these power grids and that will work. So we just have to make sure that we have enough heat pipe out this side to be able to copy that as well. Otherwise, that should work. And then we have our heat pipe here, and we're going to want to just put our reactor down. So if we grab our reactor, it should be quite large, yeah. And we can connect it to heat pipes wherever we like, I think. Let's put them down there, for instance, give it a bit of room. And now it's basically going to need fuel. Now the fuel, we're not just going to... We can't just shovel in the ore, unfortunately. That'd be nice, but we're going to need to be able to produce that nuclear fuel first. Now, are you in here? Yes, you are. Uranium fuel cells needs 235 and 238. Is that going to require me to do the Coverex process? I hope not. Let's see. No, because we should be able to... Yeah, that's fine. Let's see if we can actually get those made without the Coverex process. Uranium processing just takes uranium ore and it produces a nearly almost just below 1% chance of 235, and the rest is 238. So we're going to do that, and it needs to be made in one of these, a centrifuge. So we have most of the stuff we need. I need a little bit more concrete, and I'm probably going to need multiple of these things, but I'll start off with just maybe 2. Do I have enough? Oh, all of our red circuits are nicely piling up. I'll just snatch a bunch of those, and then we'll just grab what else is remaining here. Just some copper. And can we make you yet? No, we need some more concrete. That concrete should have piled up quite a lot by now, I imagine. Let's go pop down here. See if that's done. Yeah, look at that. Loads of it. So we'll get that done. And we can make one centrifuge. I'm probably going to want another one. So why don't we just get some more steel and iron. And we should be good to go. Centrifuges are simple to actually set up. However, there is a slight problem, and that is that you need some way of being able to separate the outputs. We're going to need to essentially, we're going to have 2 outputs here. One is, let's do this recipe. One is the output that we actually want a lot of, which we get very, very small amounts of, the 235, if I remember rightly. Is it the 235? I can never remember which way around it is. Yeah, it's the 235 we want lots of, but we're going to get most of it being 238. So that is going to come out onto the belt of whatever we actually output here. So that's going to be filled with mostly 238 and some 235. So what we're going to do is get a filter inserter, and once we have the other, is the centrifuge done? It is. Let's just copy and paste that, and we'll set this up here as well, heading this way. And for now, we'll put those like that, combine them. And then we're going to pick off anything that is the stuff that we want. Otherwise, it's going to proceed on and maybe get boxed or something along those kind of lines. So let's just make sure that's power first of all. Okay. And then up here, we're just going to box temporarily, or I don't really need to box actually, just a belt will do. And we're going to belt that towards our reactor. Whoops. Okay. And we'll belt it going this way. Like that. So let's just go one further away. See why in a minute. And we're going to pass this side through like that. It's not going to go all the way yet because we need to put it into a box somewhere. So now we just need a filter inserter going here. And we want to set that up to only grab the ore that we're interested in. We only want the uranium 235 on this first belt. And then I think I want to, well, in fact, we shouldn't ever get a buffer, but just in case, I guess I could get a buffer, but it should all end up on this line. And on this side, we're just going to grab it from this line and also from the other line, which is going to be the 238, sorry, on this top line, once it passes through some kind of buffer. Now, the buffer here is perhaps a little bit important in that we're going to get a lot more, like 100 times more of this. So we need it to go, well, in this case, I'm just going to choose a buffer that isn't a pass-through buffer. Or can we just go through a pass-through buffer? I suppose we could. That would work as well. Yeah, why don't we just do that? So everything else should remain there. We will just grab a couple of boxes for now. And just put them through a pass-through like this. Just so that I don't have to have a lot of belt available. Because no 235 should end up on this side of things at all. And that should do the job. So they should grab it and it should go through the pass-through and be perfectly fine. And if we ever need any more, then we can set more up. It's not much of a problem at all. So for now, all we really need to do to start things up is to give this, well, one power for the inserters. But second of all, maybe let's just swap that around. Yeah, there we go. And, oh, in fact, hang on. No, it doesn't need to go here. It needs to go somewhere else first. We need to process the uranium. So that has to then go through, let me just double check, a regular assembly machine, and we can just grab that as we normally would. So we just need a long-handed inserter as well as a short one, and both of those can go in here. From that point, they can just go straight into our reactor, basically. And we'll just do that just so everything is nice and neat. There it goes. And there we go. Now, what we need to get this to produce, if I remember rightly, it uses one of these fuel cells every 200 seconds. Doesn't matter how many boilers you've got attached, it will use them regardless. Again, that's if I'm remembering right. So we need to make sure we have a rate of basically 1 of these every 200 seconds, which means we need 1% of this coming through every 200 seconds. I assume if it's 1 of each, let's just take a look. And are you 1 of each? You are 1 of uranium 235 and 19238. We'll always have more than enough 238s, and we need iron plate as well. So I'm going to just mix the two. I'm going to bring in iron plate from somewhere else. Thankfully, iron plate is not terribly hard. We just need to bring it across from our main bus. And there we go. Everything's hooked up. I've got a water line coming in from an independent pipe up here. And we have everything set up ready. It just needs to get our first uranium 235, which can happen anytime. At this point, all you really need to do is to scale up your centrifuges until you get enough. Later, we'll have the reprocessing from the Covarex effect, correct process, and that will do perfectly well. For the time being, you can also set up just filter inserters straight at the centrifuges if you want to, and just have two parallel lines coming out. But this way, what I wouldn't ever end up with in that case, or in this case, is I've got a buffer that ensures that all of the output is continually processed, that I don't ever end up with 235 stuck behind lots and lots and lots of 238, and you only need one filter inserter rather than having one set of two for every single centrifuge. So this just pulls that off the line. It's quite straightforward, and that should all work. Now that, of course, this being me recording for YouTube, it's very likely this won't actually pop up on camera, so I'm just going to go and make some more centrifuges. And I'm not quite sure how many I'm going to need, but I'll just keep playing with it until they actually start producing enough to keep this whole thing reaction going. And still nothing as of yet. Doesn't surprise me. In fact, it's slow enough that we can probably just combine them like that. It shouldn't really need any kind of splitter merger. Oh, there's the first one. Okay, so that will actually be good. That should get combined. Go onto this bottom half of the belt. There we go. This should get turned into our first fuel cell, hopefully. We've got iron coming in along the top now and combined. That does not take very long at all. Certainly if you give it enough 235, it would produce enough fuel cells to keep this thing fed. And that should go in. Go onto our line. We get 2, 3, 4, oh, we get 10. Okay, so that should be enough. And this, again, I think it takes about 200 seconds. This will then heat up our heat pipe. You can see it's raising temperature already, 42 degrees. In turn, that should get pushed onto this, which is the water temperature. That won't actually do much at the moment. You see its temperature is rising there as well on the right hand side, 40 degrees. Once obviously we get into the higher temperatures, and this steam will end up being super heated, meaning that the steam temperature will be well above 100. There it is, 100. And as soon as it gets to, I can't remember exactly what it turns out to be, but it turns out to be, it's certainly well above 100 Celsius. For the Americans watching, usually Celsius system, 100 degrees C, boiling point of water. Yep, and these should start producing power whenever we start getting steam. We haven't got any steam yet, but that won't be very long at all now before it actually does so. And everything is now working. So that is a fully working reactor. You obviously, there are nicer laid out systems, but for this one, we can just extend it to the right and just copy and paste. And as long as we have the stuff in our inventory, the bots will construct it for us. So quite a successful episode. If you've got any questions, if you've seen anything that's wrong in this episode, put it in the comments down below. Otherwise, we'll see you next time for some more Factorio, lots of red circuits. And yeah, really enjoyed setting that nuclear power up, particularly because I don't have to set up much more coal. And it's coal that really we should now not need quite as much once this starts producing power. All right, feel free to put comments down below, and we'll see you next time for some more Factorio. As always, guys, thanks for watching.